Hi everyone, welcome to Lauren's Scraplot. I'm your host, Lauren Urbonis, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So I do have to apologize. Usually I either have a video posted or I go live on Tuesdays at noon, but my day just ended up not going as planned, and that's okay. Things like that happen. So I am happy to report we can still do a video, but yeah, it's a little later. So I'm sorry to those of you who might have tuned in at noon and ended up missing me. I had my boys booked for eye appointments, and we got there, and then they were like, oh yeah, we need to dilate their eyes because, their measurements aren't lining up. And so I was like, okay, we can do that. So we did that, but then you end up waiting for the drops to work and then finding out that both of them need glasses, one full time, one just for reading. And then they're like, oh, you should have your appointment too. So I'm looking at my clock. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And they're like, oh, and here's your drops. So I totally always forget how inconvenient those drops can be because your eyes just like react to everything. So needless to say, my day just ran away with me, and we have now picked out frames for the boys. They seem happy with them, and it'll be an adjustment, I think, to figure out these glasses, but that's okay. They can do it. So thank you for tuning in. Later is my long story short. Okay, so all I have for you today, I shouldn't say all, it's a little treat. What I have for you today is a cute little tag, and I made a bunch of these for a conference that I'm going to at the end of the month. I wanted to make some sort of gift tag, but the fun part about this is they have a little secret pocket inside here that you can actually hide a treat in. So something super skinny like those, the nail files. You can put one of those in there. Or I have a bunch of these little Moem candies. They can hide right in here. The only thing that I noticed is these candies are just a tiny bit thick. So I just took a block, and if you like smush them down so they're kind of as flat as they possibly can go, then they will slide in a lot easier, and it won't put pressure on the adhesive that I'm putting in behind this little pouch. So that's my little trick for you if you are trying to hide candy, is you might want to just put a little glue in this seam or try and flatten out whatever you have. But let me show you how to make these because they're very, very easy, and you can recreate them for Christmas or for birthdays, whatever you need a little treat for. So I have used the Tailor Made Tag dies. So this one here is the largest of those dies. There is another one that goes next, and then this would be the size just below. Okay, so we've got kind of a nice little layering effect, but you'll notice that my back one has the hole in it. My front one does not. So all I need to do is just trim a little bit of that paper off, and I will get a nice even line for my little pouch to go on. So I've cut these both out of wild wheat, and to start layering them, I have a piece of white on the back so that I have something to write a little greeting on. You could even stamp like to and from or a little flower or something on here. But this piece I want to add first because it's a little tricky to get it evenly added to the card afterwards. So this white little piece is going to be 1 11/16. I know, that's a really odd measurement. It's 1 11/16 by 3 1/4. So at least the 1 is easy, but these tags are, because of the stitching, a little different in measurement, and I couldn't really help myself. Wanted something as fitted as possible in this little space. So there's the back of my large tag. Okay, now flipping back to the front, let's deal with this small little tag and get that trimmed down. So you've got a Stampin' Trimmer. That would be probably the easiest thing to use right now. You can use scissors, but you might not get a nice even line. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to line up so that my circle is kind of just past the little groove. If you're wondering about an exact spot to cut, maybe go like 2 7/8. That would be the perfect little line to measure. But as long as this circle is past the cutting point, it doesn't need to be precise. So we're snipping this off. You don't need this little piece. It can go in the recycling. We're just keeping this background. Now I decided to use the Fresh as a Daisy Designer Series paper, but of course you're welcome to use anything that you have as well. So this little piece of paper, and forgive me again, it's going to have weird measurements because we need to fit it in between these stitches. So across this top right here, it is going to be 1 5/16. Down here, 2 13/16. So I'll give that to you once again. 1 5/16. 2 13/16. And that shows just the tiniest of little yellow stitching on the side. Okay. So I've just put tape on the back of this piece here. And it will fit right in the middle here on the bottom and the 2 sides. And then depending on where you ended up cutting, you might have a little bit of designer paper hanging over the top, and that's okay. You can just trim it off, but I figured we'll cut our DSP long so that it doesn't really matter where you end up cutting. Okay, so now, if I was to layer this and all I wanted out of it was a tag, I would use a flat adhesive or maybe even dimensionals, and I would pop it right in the middle of my large tag. But because I want to make a little secret pouch, I can't use dimensionals. That would take up too much room along the sides. So I'm going to bring in our foam adhesive strips, and we're going to put those around the 2 side perimeters and the bottom. We're not putting anything in the top because we want to be able to stick a treat in there. And you can always just go to like your local dollar store or something and bring your treat pouch, see what fits in there. I have been known to walk around my dollar stores all the time, and I just try and see what little treats or candy I can fit in the pouches I've recently made. So my local dollar store gets a good laugh, and I try to bring them a little treat here or there when I see one of the employees that I know quite well now. They're like, oh, what are you making today? So I try to bring them either one of the samples I've made or something from my stash, and they get quite a kick out of it. I don't open packages, I'm not that bad, but I do fiddle with all the other little things. So I've put 2 strips on the left and the right. And then for my little bottom part, I don't have a tiny strip right now, so I'm just gonna cut one. And I've put these kind of just right along the stitching. And you can trim it to whatever size you need. So I've basically covered 3 of the sides with adhesive fully. So it doesn't matter what I put in there. It's not going to slip out the sides. It's not going to slip out the bottom. And when I put this on, do just want to make sure the side with no adhesive is facing the top. Otherwise, you can't put anything in there. Or who knows, you could just even make a little picture or a note and put it inside here too. Okay, so then once this is done, it's quite easy just to slip a little treat in there. If you don't want this ruffle showing, you can always just fold that over, tuck it further into the bottom. That'll work as well. So there we go. Now, before I want my treat in there though, I'm going to decorate. So on the top part, I'm going to use one of my favorite ribbons. This is called the Wavy Trim, and it's just so easy to use. Look, it's all beautiful in these nice circles. So I'm just going to put some of that through, give myself like a nice amount of a tail, probably about 2 to 3 inches. And then just make sure that your other side is even. Trim those down. Now, I'm not going to worry about tying these at all together. The ribbon probably would be a little challenging to loop and tie. So I'm just grabbing a piece of linen thread, wrapping it in behind, and I'm going to put a bow around that wavy trim. That bow will hold it in place, and it's the same color and same material, so it kind of looks like I've matched right there. Trim your edges like so. And once again, I want to add a little bit more detail, so I've cut myself out one of my Stylish Shapes circles. This one is the second smallest. And then there's all sorts of stamps in our collections that are small and have kind of fun little words. But I've gone with a sentiment from the Zany Zoo Stamp Set called "You're Too Wonderful." And I'm using Pebbled Path because it goes with some of this wild wheat complementing. So just tap, tap, tap on my ink so it's nice and juicy. There we go. And stamp that right in the middle, my little circle. So this guy I will pop up on dimensionals just so it kind of comes off the card a little bit. And I've put it kind of just centralized on my little tag here. And then I thought, hey, let's add a few gems. So I really, really love these gems. These are the adhesive back solid gems, but they complement that Fresh as a Daisy and Celebration Daisy set of products. So on this card here, I used the nice copper clay ones, but you can see I've made way too many of these now for that conference, so I'll just have to pick something else. And I'm gonna go with the lemon lolly just for something completely different here. Just adding one of each size. So I've got the largest one here in the bottom, medium, and the small one up on the tag. And if you want, you can go crazy and add even more of those, but I thought that's kind of enough for me. Ready to put my little treat in there. And then we're done. We have just a really adorable little treat pouch, something that you guys can easily mass produce if you need a few of them, and hopefully something you can also play with once you get some of your holiday items. A little snowflake or something would look really cute on this decal, and hopefully you'll have a lot of fun with them. So thank you so much for joining me or watching this later. Next week, I can tell you I will be away at that conference, so there will be a video that posts at noon. You just get to watch for it to pop up. But thank you guys so much for your patience, and if you have questions, please reach out. If you're in Canada and you need a demonstrator, my website is at the bottom, and I can also get you one of our new holiday catalogs as well if you send me a message. So I will talk to you next week. Bye.